what is up? So if you are watching this video, you've obviously read the title, and I have officially been accepted into pharmacy school, and I will become a pharmacist after the next 4 years. So if you guys don't know, I'm just going to quickly give you the rundown of my journey so far. So I started college at Georgia State, and I initially was doing pre-nursing, and then I ended up switching to a private school in Charlotte where I was in nursing school for a year, and then I switched to pre-med or pre-pharm. Most of those classes end up being the same anyways, and then COVID hit and I was graduating this year, and my plan was to get a job and then hopefully get a company that could help pay for furthering my education. However, as most of you know, I have graduated and there's not many jobs or places hiring right now. So I decided rather than waiting for a year to get a job or 6 months to get a job, I would pursue my graduate school education sooner than I had planned. So I decided to apply to a private school that was around me. I don't plan on moving. I don't want to move. That financially wouldn't be smart for me anyways. So I found a school that's about 30-ish minutes away, and I applied to it on a whim, and I got in. So today I want to talk about my interview experience as well as my thoughts and, why I'm excited to do this route. I'm really excited to go this route because I know that although it's going to be 4 more years of education, I'm going to end school and I'm going to not have to climb the ladder. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be able to, provide for my family that I hope to have, and I'm not going to have to struggle. And as most of you know, I am very intrigued by physiology. I love learning about the pharmacokinetics of things. I love learning about drugs and the side effects. And one of my favorite classes in nursing school was my pharmacology class. So for me, this seemed perfect. And also, I have the potential to own my own pharmacy at some point or practice, which would be super fun. And I could also explore my entrepreneurial side too, which is super awesome. So I do want to say thank you for everyone that has stuck around with me while I was in nursing school, while I was transitioning, and all the things that I went through until I'm here right now. So thank you guys so much. But for those of you that came here to know how the interview was, I first want to say that if you go into pharmacy school, vet school, things like that, you're probably not always going to have an interview. There's some schools that want interviews and some schools that don't. However, if you're going into med school, most likely you're going to have an interview. My specific interview was 3.5 hours long. It was a long interview, and typically, obviously, they would have this interview in person, but because of current circumstances, it was on Zoom. So I decided that because this is an interview to become a doctor, I was still going to act and present myself as if I was going in person. And when I tell you that people did not do that, and I was utterly shocked at the people that didn't do this. There were people still laying in their beds. There were people who looked like they literally stumbled out of bed, which is fine. But for me, I wanted to go out of my way to make it look like I was presentable and ready to be interviewed to become a doctor. So that's what I did. Also, during the interview, there was a girl that fell asleep while I think it's like the interim, I don't know, sort of like the president of the pharmacy school was talking. This girl was like, she was asleep. Her eyes were shut, and I was shocked. I think she needs to learn how to sleep with her eyes open. But yeah, so during the interview, we had the first 30 minutes was with current students, and the students were asking us questions. We were asking them questions, sort of figuring out the program. The next 30 minutes, the interim or whatever came on, and he was asking us questions, wanting to get to know each other. And then after that, we had our individual interview, and this was the weirdest interview I've ever had in my life. Granted, I haven't had that many, but when I say I practiced for my interview, I really practiced for my interview. I looked up my school, as there's like some websites where you can go and you can see past questions that people were asked. And so I wrote down all those questions, and I had my boyfriend ask me those questions. So I was just prepared to answer those. And the questions or sort of like that, but not really. There were lots of questions that were about situations and about like your ethics or like what you would do in a situation. So for instance, here was one. They said that there was a hurricane in Louisiana and you were sent out to help the Red Cross distribute 3,000 water bottles, and that there was 4,000 people assigned to come. And they said, what would you do? And for me, the answer was, I would cut that number down significantly. Those people can go and help elsewhere, you know, and maybe have only like 100 passing out the water bottles just to make sure like it can go by fast. And let me just tell you, when you're answering these interview questions, like the amount of word vomit sometimes that comes out, you just have to be able to take your word vomit, accept it, end that sentence, and then start a better sentence, if you know what I mean. So then after that, he came at me with the second question that was like, he said, what if it was distributing water bottles at a health fair? And for me, I said I would only have about 10 people distributing the water then, because there didn't need to be that sense of urgency in distributing the water. So if that makes sense, there was plenty of questions like that, questions about, you know, cheating, just like moral questions, and there wasn't so much questions about me, like who am I, where am I from, and that's what I really wanted to get out there. So I think that's why the personal statement is so important, because that's when you can get those things out, you know, that are different from your academics and the classes you've taken and the GPA you had and things like that. Also, the question that you really need to nail is why you want to be a pharmacist, because that was a question that I was asked, and if you don't nail that, probably not going to get very far. So after that, we got back together and we did this group activity. So the school that I'm going to is very much like group oriented. Like a lot of the learning process is going to be working in groups, working with technology, things like that, you know, as if you're an actual pharmacist working in your interdisciplinary team. So we did like a group work problem over Zoom, and you know, was asking all about if the medication cost this much money, what would you do to try to improve that? Or if this drug isn't FDA approved, but a child dying of cancer who has 6 months to live wants to take it, what would you do? It was questions like that, and we were working as a group, so it was very important for everyone to, you know, sort of interact with each other. You know, if someone's not talking as much, maybe like ask their opinion, and that's what they were really looking at. And then afterwards, we had to sort of present it to the professors. And at that point, it was sort of important to me to make sure that I acted like I knew what I was talking about, although the question was really confusing. Act like I knew what I was talking about, and you know, get my version of my answer across, if that makes sense. So then after that, we just sort of had a wrap-up session. So it was a lot different than what I expected, but I think it was a good experience. So after we had my interview, I had my interview on a Friday, and they said by Monday at 3 p.m. we would get our acceptance letters. Now, when I tell you that gave me the most anxiety, knowing that by 3 p.m. I would have my answer, I was freaking out. I was preparing myself for the worst. Unfortunately, I had told a bunch of people, so I was already preparing to not only tell my YouTube audience, but to tell other people that I didn't make it in. And for me, it was also something that now, like I said, is not a good time to get a job. It's going to be incredibly difficult. People that have had so much experience have lost their jobs, have been furloughed, and they're looking for jobs too, and here I am, a new graduate, and no one's probably gonna want to hire me right now. So that made me freak out, but it came Monday at 3 p.m. and I didn't hear anything. And so, mind you, that whole day I was just trying to keep myself busy, and that was incredibly hard, trying to make sure I wasn't just like moping, which I was for the majority of the day. But come 3:05, mind you, I had cried already twice that day over nothing. 3:05 came and I saw my letter and I started bawling, crying my eyes out. And the first people I texted obviously was my family. Everyone was so excited. For me, it's so relieving to know that I am going to be a doctor. I am going to have my white coat. I've talked about it for so long. I feel like the running joke of the family, but for me, I had a really weird journey in my undergrad experience, and something that a lot of people will never, hopefully, will never experience and have not experienced, but I've learned from it, and it might have taken me longer, but I think I'm 10 times a better person than I would have been if I didn't experience that. So it was really exciting to tell my parents that, you know, I got in, I'm gonna be a doctor, you know, they're not gonna have to worry about me. And you know, after that I texted all my friends who were super excited for me. I posted on my Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, subtle plug, go follow me, it's down below. And people that I hadn't talked to in years, nursing friends, reached out to me. Friends that I'm not really as close to now have reached out to me, and for me that just made me feel so much more encouraged, so much, you know, just drive to finish this. And I just can't believe that I got so lucky, and here I am again putting myself down. I have an amazing GPA, a significant and different background than most people, so, but you know, I just felt so blessed to actually be able to do that. And yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so happy. I'm going to continue doing videos. When I was waiting my 3 days to see if I got into the program, I was watching a bunch of pharmacists or people that are in P3, P4 pharmacy school. I was watching a bunch of their videos, and you know what? I want to be that person again. I know people watch my nursing videos, they watch my pre-med videos, and I'm going to continue doing that for pharmacy as well as the other videos I put out. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or want to hear more about the interview process, more about pharmacy in general, I am learning more as the day goes by. And yeah, I'm so excited to not only go on this adventure, but to share it with you guys. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are. And until next time, bye!